Hello and welcome to a new episode of Entre Artistas. Today we have someone who I admire a lot. She's a high caliber artist. Right now she is directing. She is Deidre Goodwin. So how are you doing, Deidre?
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. A long time and not seeing you. So what are you doing now? You were my teacher at the New York Film Academy. And now
Yeah.
the news that you are directing around the country in the US. So, what are your projects now?
Yes. So right before COVID happened, and then after we were, out and about, I've been doing directing and doing choreography. I just opened a production of Jesus Christ Superstar, and working on a new project right now out in San Diego as associate director. And then
Awesome.
I have more shows lined up for the year, either as director choreographer, or choreographer. So I've been able to help create, which is fun.
Why did you decide to jump from teaching to now directing, do all these big events?
It wasn't so much a decision as the opportunity presented itself. And I realized actually because of teaching, I had been choreographing things, or I wouldn't call it directing, but organizing thoughts of a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity presented itself with Rob Schneider, actually in his theater company in the city to do something. And I was like, oh, maybe all the things I've been doing have actually been preparing me for this part of my life. And I love it because you're creative. I love it because it's also very analytical. There's a lot of busy work you have to do as well. And I love finding the right cast to work together and help tell a story. And of course, choreography, I love, because I was your dance teacher.
Yeah.
I always think as a dancer, even if I'm not choreographing a show, or if I am, like, I love all those aspects of it.
Now that we are talking about that, what do you look for the artists when you're casting them? What are the profiles that you're looking for them? All of them have to be triple threat. They have to have some experience. How do you manage that now that you are directing?
It depends on the show, the requirements for the show. Like, if the person has to be a bass singer, that need a bass, you know what I mean? So the basic requirements, especially for shows that are already done, like not a new show, things are always in flux. I look for, in addition to can they do the material, whether it's the choreography, the text, the music, do they pop? Is there something interesting about them? And you can't teach someone to be interesting. You can't teach someone to be like, some people might come in and be very interesting, but they're having a nervous face, so it's not coming through. And other people are like, oh, yeah, cool. And just do their audition, and there's something that catches your eye. And there's sometimes people who maybe are not the best dancer in the room, but they pop. And I also recognize, oh, in 4 weeks rehearsal, I can get them there. So even if you make a mistake in an audition, if I see the spark, and then also I'm also subconsciously, how will these humans work together? Because if they're all the greatest people, but they don't really vibe well, that's not going to work. So there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you manage, for example, new artists with veterans or people with experience? Because we
hmm
know we artists have some egos. So how do you manage all the egos? And I mean this to the audience because she's the nicest person in the world. You are in a trouble in some plight, and she's smiling and she's solving, and she has the greatest attitude. I love that from her, and I learned that from her. So could you share that a little bit?
Because I was an actor, I recognize when an actor is spiraling, thinking that they're doing something wrong or bad. So that's just from being on the other side and seeing it. I also recognize that everyone receives information differently and processes differently. So I try to find a way to communicate in so that person can actually hear it and then do the work they need to do. That is not always a home run by any means because there's always other factors going on. But I think as long as I can communicate or even say, you know what, I don't have that answer right now, but if you can just be patient, I can get back to you and then we can work on whatever it is this person needs, you know? It is a lot of juggling because as a director, you're then doing that for your actors, obviously, but also your lighting designer, your set designer, your music director, if you have a choreographer, the choreographer, the producer of the theater, the prop master, the painter. Like you're navigating a lot of people's needs who have the same goal, which is to make a good show. But depending on their technical needs or emotional needs, I have many tentacles out trying to navigate that. And as long as I can stay balanced and centered here, I can hopefully navigate those waters.
One is one of the things that you don't accept in your cast. Like you said, oh, this attitude I don't like, or I don't like that he has this habit. What are the I want to think that are few because you are the nicest person in the world.
I don't accept when and some actors are sneaky. People are sneaky because they don't always display that behavior in front of me. But if I get wind of, or if I suspect that someone is behaving poorly to their cast member, or maybe think that they're better than because whatever reason, or doesn't speak professionally to people, and professional is yes, kind, but not necessarily kind. Professional is we're here working. You're my peer. You're my equal. Let's speak in a way to get something done. If people are not abiding by being good humans, I don't tolerate that. And either I get to them directly, or if it's better with stage management doing it, I'll address it that way. I do not tolerate and will not hire people again who are lazy. Lazy to me means if say you're under the weather as an actor and not like sick, like coughing and stuff, obviously, but like something's hurting or a pain and you let us know, hey, I have this knee thing. It's acting up today. Is it okay if I go a little easy? Or just let us know something's happening. I'm good. If that person is fearful that that they say have a problem and just sit down and don't do anything, I then perceive them to be lazy. Or some people who are on the phone the whole time just because, well, I'm not in that scene, but you're in the room. So if you're in the room watching, watch, or go in the hallway if you're not needed. I'd rather tell a cast, okay, we're gonna do this 5 times. First few times it's for you. You can mark it. You can take it down. I don't need full vocal right now. I don't need this. I just want you to know the sequence of events. That's fine. If your pattern is to always mark or not be engaged, I can't really work with that. And maybe this isn't for that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think too, if you're here, let's work. And when work is over, go home and live your life and have fun and rest and whatever you need to do. But I think as long as you're, and that's another thing why I was saying, like maybe the person that is hired is not the top tier dancer, but they're good. I'd rather have that person who works freaking hard the entire time than the person who is the very best and is kind of,
yeah.
It's not good to the energy of the room. Even if they can pull it off come performance, you know what I mean? But it's not that skill set's not valuable to me, so I'd rather not have that in the room.
Yeah, and I remember that you told us that on class, I want you to be in your best energy, in your higher energy in class, so I can lower down to put it in the middle or where I need it. Instead of you being low, because it's very hard to put it on the top. So that makes a lot of sense. Besides the directing, are you and choreographing? Are you still on TV, doing theater, like a performer?
I'm not doing theater anymore. I'm officially retired from theater as far as performing. TV and film, as it comes, I'll do. After the strike, things dried up quite a bit. So we'll see what's there. And then I do still do a lot of voiceover work. So, but I really enjoy the other side of the table, as people call it, so much. The only thing that's hard is like I travel a lot. So like right now I'm away from my husband for 2 months. He's coming out. But like that sometimes is hard, the traveling. But San Diego is beautiful, so it's okay.
So how do you balance that? Could you share that with the audience? Because you're doing voiceover, some film on TV, and directing and choreography. So when do you have free time or I don't know, buying a gift for birthday, for,
Yeah,
grocery. I don't know.
it's hard. Like food, grocery stuff. What I've learned quickly is I do like a meal delivery service because even if I have time to go to the grocery store, I don't have the energy to cook when I get home. So I get something that at least I know my dinners are done, and I usually make my lunches and just power through if I do a couple days in advance or the morning of. As far as like life things, like it's like if you're in a show, laundry and those things, your day off is the day to do it. So it's just like you got to buckle down. Where I'm staying now, I'm fortunate there's a washer dryer in the apartment, so that makes things a lot easier. Um, as far as relationships, my husband is so great and understands the world. So we just make sure that we don't go more than 4 weeks if it comes to visit, or if I can go back home, I do that. And like with like birthday stuff or like things like that you mentioned, like I literally have to plan it out. Okay, you need to get the card, the gift by here and mail it by this date to make sure it's there. Or I schedule things, like some things online that I hate, some things I love, some you can schedule things to be delivered that way. I'm very visual. So I literally make like a whole chart or a board. I'm like, okay, these are things that are crucial that have to be done. How do we get them all done? What can I do myself? What can I delegate? Who can I hire to help me? Maybe it's better to drop off my laundry 1 week, or maybe it's better to hire an assistant to go, okay, can you organize rehearsal space and get some pre-production dancers? Here's some people I know, and hand that off to them. If you lose too much sleep or energy from yourself, you actually will not be good at your job. And I also know when I walk into the room, my job is to be available for everybody and everything at all times as a director.
Yeah.
As a choreographer, my job is to service the story through the vision of the director, whether the director is me or somebody else. Right now I'm an associate director, so my job is to support the director in their vision and executing that vision. If they ask me for opinions or questions, then I give them stuff. Or if I have an idea, I always say, do you have free space for me to throw spaghetti? I don't know if you that expression, like sometimes people would throw spaghetti on a wall to see if it sticks, if that means it's cooked or not. So I always ask, like, is your brain open, available for an idea? Is this a good time? But my job is not to direct the show. It's to support the director for this particular job we're doing now as an associate. So it's just knowing where your hat is on your head, making sure you take care of yourself, nutrition-wise, family-wise, a partner-wise, so you can do those things.
Most of my audience is from Latin America, and I created this channel to create a community of musical theater, because here in Latin America is not that big like in England and the US. You have had a lot of students from this part, right? So what are your advice, your recommendation for us to create a community here so we can have high performance musical theater as you have it, directors, writers? So what is your opinion to us?
I say keep studying and being involved with whatever productions are there, no matter the level. If it's possible, create your own, even if it's like a 2-person play, and just do it. Because I find no matter the level or the budget, it all comes down to you being a pro. And the only way you can be a pro is through repetition. It doesn't matter the paycheck. Yes, the paycheck matters. We got to pay bills. I'm not going to be like silly about that. But if you can create like, hey, I have an idea. I've only got the first 15 pages written out. Can you come over to my house and we go for coffee and we just read through this thing? Or I just feel like dancing today. Can we go to a studio or go somewhere and create some steps? Or I want to practice these songs. You play the piano. What if we come get some people together? We'll pay you to play for us and work on those things. And when you are doing productions, take in the experience and do it then. And then after go, oh gosh, if we had this one extra element, I think it would have been better. Like if maybe we had more rehearsal, or if we had hired set designer. Do you know what I mean? Like how to elevate it each time. Every time I do a job, I try to write down at least 3 things that I think that I did well, but also I write down what could be better from me and from the whole experience. And then I also write down a lesson I may have learned from that experience, because every single show has different challenges.
Right.
Every single one. So just trying to remember that and stay fresh and aware and open. But I think creating your own opportunities is a way to start doing it. And then auditioning for everything and anything. And if you love theater, but you're like, I'm kind of shy, I don't think that I can act. Maybe you are a lighting designer. Maybe you are a set designer. Maybe you're a company manager. Maybe you are a producer. Like, find where you fit in the world of theater if theater is what you love.
Last two questions. Have you ever been in Mexico? Which parts, if you so?
I have Cancun. Went to a resort there. Yeah, with my husband. It was lovely. Yeah.
And if the channel grows and we have a big audience to have a masterclass here in Mexico, would you be able to come here?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And do it. You doing the masterclass of musical theater someday.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, someday. That'd be great.
So you have it. Please subscribe, give likes, comment, so we can have Deidre someday here in the south of Mexico, because I live in the south. Thank you very much, audience, for your time. Thank you, Deidre, for your time. I know you have a very busy agenda, and for taking the time and sharing all your knowledge. You're a very talented person. She's a prodigy. So I will share her social media here down below. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.